Before we start the movie, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new content we offer. Also, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, you'll find the link in the description box. Our movie starts with Detective Holtz at a fertility clinic, intending to donate his sperm. At that moment, the doctor tells him that he is infertile and has been so throughout his married life. Holtz is shocked by the news, as he has 2 children. Time passes, and Holtz is in his office when a colleague interrupts him, informing him that a man named Gavin is about to jump off the top of a building. Holtz rushes to the upper floor to stop him and tries to calm Gavin down. Gavin asks some routine questions, and Holtz realizes he has no choice but to stay on the edge until noon and then jump, or someone else will die. At this point, there's no way for Detective Holtz to change Gavin's mind, and he has just over an hour left. When Holtz asks Gavin what happened, Gavin takes us into a flashback. A couple moves into Gavin's building, where he sees Shauna and her husband Joe leaving. Both take the same bus, and they smile at each other. Later, Gavin works as a hotel manager and is surprised to see Shauna apply for a job at the same place. After a brief interview, Gavin gives Shauna the opportunity to start working immediately. Later, at home, his friend Chris, who is also gay, talks about the new employee Shauna, whom he met by chance, and they end up working together at the hotel. Chris becomes curious about Gavin's relationship with Shauna, but Gavin dismisses the thought because Shauna is married. Soon, Shauna and Joe come to Gavin's door to thank him and meet him. Joe then invites Gavin and Chris to dinner, and both accept gladly. That night, Gavin and Chris go to Shauna's house, where Joe welcomes them. Joe asks Shauna to fetch some wine. Gavin helps her in the kitchen, and they talk for a while. Joe mistakenly thinks Gavin and Chris are a gay couple and prays for them at the table. Gavin leaves their house feeling humiliated, realizing the couple is extremely religious. The next day at the hotel, Shauna apologizes to Gavin for the previous night. To ease the tension, he invites her to lunch. While walking, Shauna tells him he is wrong about her husband and shares her traumatic childhood and how Joe saved her life from drug addiction. Gavin offers her a drink, hinting at his own struggle with alcohol addiction. Despite his modest behavior, he is surprised to see Shauna open the bottle with her teeth. They also discuss Gavin's friend Chris, and Shauna learns how Gavin helped Chris when he lost his job due to his HIV diagnosis. We return from the flashback to the present, where Gavin explains his story and current situation to Holtz. Holtz receives a call from his wife Angela but does not answer. Another flashback shows Holtz returning home, greeted excitedly by his children. He confronts his wife, demanding to know the biological father of his children, angry at her for deceiving him and making him believe all these years that they were his. Back in Gavin's story, he continues telling Holtz about his experiences with Shauna and Joe. One day, Joe, being gay and religious, warns Gavin that if he doesn't change his stance, he will go to hell. Gavin, annoyed, tells him they need to discuss homosexuality and hell. Later, Joe invites Gavin to join him on Wednesday night. On the bus, Gavin tells Shauna he was married, but his wife left him. He begins flirting, but Shauna reminds him she is married. On Wednesday night, Joe tells Gavin that his religion considers him an atheist. Gavin asserts that it is absurd to think that only believers go to heaven and questions what happens to children who never hear about religion. The situation escalates into shouting and anger, with Shauna intervening and asking Gavin to leave. She tries to calm her husband, but he wants to be left alone. The next day, Shauna shares her past with Gavin, revealing she was a drug addict and prostitute. Her pimp once sent her to a man at the church, where she was beaten. Barely able to walk, Joe took her to the hospital the next morning. For this reason, she feels indebted to Joe. Shauna asks Gavin to stay away from her, and he agrees. 3 weeks later, Shauna sees Gavin comforting an employee who was crying over her father's death and is surprised by his caring nature. At night, while Gavin smokes on his rooftop, Shauna joins him. He invites her to look at the stars and kisses her, but she stops him. Later, her husband Joe sees her with Gavin late at night and suspects she is cheating. The next day, Shauna goes to Gavin's office and suddenly kisses him passionately. There is knocking on the door, so Gavin tells her he will book a hotel room for 2 hours to meet her there. He sends her the details by email. Later, while Shauna showers at home, her husband checks her phone and reads the email. Luckily, Gavin sent it from a former employee's email account, so Joe does not know Gavin is the man Shauna is involved with. Shauna tells Joe she must cover a colleague's shift at the hotel that night and heads to the hotel room where Gavin is waiting. Unbeknownst to Shauna, Joe follows her there. In that moment, Shauna and Gavin make love. As she is about to leave, Joe sees her kissing a man but cannot identify him. The next day, Gavin asks Shauna to leave her husband, but she tells him that she feels fear and guilt toward her husband. At the same time, she distances herself from him because she cannot think of anyone but Gavin, who says he feels the same way about her. That night, with Joe having left to attend to church duties, Shauna goes to Gavin's apartment, unaware that her husband is hiding in the home to see what she is doing. They make love again while the heartbroken Joe listens from behind the door. After being intimate with Gavin, he reveals to her that he had a young daughter who died 2 years ago in a car accident. He has always blamed himself because he was driving, and when the truck was about to hit them, he turned the wheel the wrong way, causing the truck to crash on the side of the car where his daughter was. His wife could never forgive him for their daughter's death, which led to their separation. We return from the past to the present. Holtz admits that his wife cheated on him, and he recently discovered that the children he believed were his are not because he was infertile. Holtz explains that he and his wife underwent fertility tests multiple times, but he never checked the results because his wife told him everything was fine. Months later, they had a son, without Holtz knowing that his wife conceived through an agreement with his brother. Holtz breaks down in tears as he tells Gavin everything and begs him to enter the building, but Gavin says he wants to help but cannot. Another officer interrupts their conversation, informing them that Joe and Shauna are missing. Gavin continues his story. He and Shauna had planned to tell Joe the truth about their relationship, but Shauna wanted to confess first. One day, Joe sees Gavin and Shauna kissing. During this time, he books a room at the hotel where Shauna works. When she arrives, she is surprised to find her husband there. The next day, Joe invites Gavin to his apartment and reveals his past. He tells Gavin that he was previously married, had 2 children, struggled with drugs and sin, lost his job when his wife and children left him, and hit rock bottom. He then turned to the church, found faith, and was reborn, feeling redeemed. He believed God sent Shauna to care for him, and he felt pure love for her until the night he heard them making love. At that moment, he holds a gun, saying no one should die, then points the gun at Gavin, demanding that he read a Bible verse calling for the death of an adulterer. Gavin responds with a story from the New Testament where Jesus saved an adulteress, challenging only those without sin to cast the first stone. After Joe allows him to go, Gavin tries to call Shauna, but Joe answers the phone, telling him he wants the harsh justice described in the Old Testament. He warns Gavin that not both of them should die, only one, and threatens that he will point his gun at Shauna's head and shoot her at noon unless Gavin jumps from the police building. We return to the present. Holtz tells Gavin that if he had revealed the truth earlier, they could have found Joe, but he is still trying to convince him not to act. Officers are searching the hotel across the street to get a glimpse of the kidnapper. Holtz notices Joe in the building across the street and sees Joe and Shauna witnessing everything in their hotel room while Gavin is on the other building. With only minutes until noon, Gavin begs not to jump. He asks the detective to tell Shauna that he loved her and looks at a photo of his daughter one last time, not wanting the same fate for Shauna. He kisses the photo, and as the noon bell rings, he jumps into the crowd below, shocking everyone who sees him fall in the middle of the street. Moments later, the police find Joe and Shauna in the hotel room and arrest him. Later at the police station, Holtz tells Shauna that Gavin loved her. She thanks him and kisses him on her initiative. She sees her husband in the cell as she leaves. At the end of the day, Detective Holtz sits in his car, watching his family inside his home. He recalls Gavin's words to go and embrace them because his wife did not betray him. She tried to save their family by giving birth to their children. His children greet him as he enters, and they have dinner together. He seems ready to forgive his wife and tell the children that he is their father. In the end, betrayal was a torment for Gavin because he became involved with a married woman who cheated on her husband with him, resulting in a forbidden relationship and tragedy. And that was the end of today's movie. If you enjoyed the film, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new content we offer.